It's time to go beyond the headlines, cause I don't put in overtime just so I can headline. Okay, now it's Fox Sports, I'm live with Renee. Going hard every day, sports rapping every play. Different segments for your favorites, coming at you daily with positive vibes, yeah, we some game changers. Basketball, football, soccer, with different interviews, you never know who may pop up. Listen, only on Beyond the Headlines, this is Beyond the Headlines. Only on Beyond the Headlines, this is Beyond the Headlines. Only on Beyond the Headlines, this is Beyond the Headlines with Renee Washington.
We welcome Laurie Warren in our Positive Vibes Only segment. She's an author and she's working to help kids dealing with depression or anxiety. And so, Laurie, welcome to our Positive Vibes Only segment this week.
Thank you. It's great to be here, Renee. Thanks for inviting me.
Of course. I love the work that you're doing. You're a vibrant living advocate.
It's a hard word.
You're a founder of Create Vibrant Health. So you're working with kids, but you're also working with all age range. What really inspired you to get into that field of work?
What really inspired me initially was a battle with cancer that my brother-in-law had when I was around 30 and working in high tech. And I read a book that he and my sister were reading about cancer and nutrition, and it just opened me up to a whole world of how much we can affect our body with food. And long story short, I left my career in high tech. I went back and got my graduate degree in middle life and clinical and integrated nutrition, and then started studying functional medicine and herbology and psychology, and opened a practice because the work that I was doing previously, even though it was really great, I just wanted to make more of a difference, like in people's everyday lives. Yeah.
Well, I feel like also with the way that the world is nowadays, we just had some unfortunate tragedies with the shootings that happened in our country.
Mm-hmm.
You see a lot of kids dealing with classmates or personally suicide. There are just so many different things that are going on in the world. So it's great for you to have the opportunity to kind of make your mark and make an impact in some way, given all that kids nowadays have to deal with. So what really is the mission behind, Vibrant Health, and what is it that is the main purpose, taking it a step further in the work that you do? I mean, your website's tremendous, but, when you're reaching out to people, when you're working with clients, how do you really go about helping them to make lifestyle changes that will help in the long run?
Great question. Yeah, so I work with folks one-to-one, and I do corporate work as well, and then I also am a speaker and an author. So when I'm working with folks one-to-one, and it's interesting because when people ask about working with kids, I do work with kids directly, but a lot of times I'm working with the parents to help the kids, right?
I like that.
Because at the end of the day, it's, a meeting with me is like a one-time thing. And it's great for the parents to be able to take home what they learn and layer it in every single day in a child's life. So
right.
I rarely meet with kids alone. I really encourage the parents to be there, depending on the parent-child relationship. There's been a few times when it's better if the parent isn't there. And what's interesting about my work is that a lot of times, so I'm a parent too. I have 4 kids. And what's interesting is that a lot of times parents will say, you just told them a lot of the same things that I tell them. And I'm like, I know, but I'm not their parent. So they're going to listen more. That old thing where your parent's dumb and they don't know anything smart. And so it's helpful for kids to come in and hear it from somebody else. This is what you should be eating that'll, start to bring down your ADD symptoms some more. This is what you can be eating to make your belly feel better. These are tactics you can take to deal with the stress that you're feeling in middle school or high school. So those discussions are great, and a lot of times, it's funny because the parents are like, I tell them the same thing. But
sometimes
I really like
you have to hear it from someone else.
You totally do, especially teenagers. I love teenagers, but they definitely need to hear things from outside their parents sometimes.
Yes.
So it's a great opportunity working with kids, being able to help them start to think of themselves as a body, mind, spirit entity. to understand that they do have some control over how they use their mind, that the food that they eat actually builds their body every day. Like, one of my favorite stats that I love to give kids and adults is that every minute our body is killing off and replacing 300 million cells. So that means
wow.
And kids love stuff like that. They're like, what? And I'm like, yes. So what that means is that every day you're building parts of your body, and it's so important how you fuel that building to happen. Do you want to fuel it with Doritos? Or do you want to fuel it with broccoli? And a lot of times they'll say, well, I'd really rather use Doritos. But they understand, like, they get it. Like, kids are so interested in understanding things and soaking up new information. So I really enjoy it.
Yeah, it seems like it's very rewarding for you because you get to directly see the impact and influence that you have on kids when you hear them say things, and like the comment on the cells, restoring cells, and you, you hear them directly appreciate what you're teaching them. So tell us about your book that you just wrote that will be coming out in October, Wild World, Joyful Heart, Unlock Your Power to Create Health and Joy. What's really your target audience, and what is the book all about?
So I'll say the person that's most likely to read the book is probably women between the ages of 33 and 65. But the truth is that this book's really for everybody that's a human. And the crux of the book, Renee, is about empowered well-being, which is very different than just well-being. So empowered well-being is really understanding how much you can influence your own body, mind, spirit health, and understanding what to do about it. And the book is really for both personal and global wellness. So what you just touched on when we first got on the phone about the unfortunate incidences over the weekend, very tragic, there's a lot that's really kind of gone off the rails culturally. So one of the things I say when I'm talking about this book is there's a lot in our culture now that seems really upside down and backwards. And how can we buck that cultural current, the one that keeps us lonely and trapped in emotional drama, maybe acting out in ways like we saw last weekend that keeps us unhealthy and stressed and polarized, and allows us to create physical and emotional health, a common centered mind, and a meaningful connection to something bigger than ourselves. So the book, it's really a rally cry and a guidebook.
Okay, that makes complete sense. So it definitely is something that can apply to all ages. So where can people find more information on what you're doing, as well as to be ready to purchase your book once it comes out in October?
So I can be found at lauriewarren.com. That's LaurieWarren.com. I'm on LinkedIn and Facebook. And I'm a little delayed in getting my author page up, so it's not up there yet. But the book will be for sale on October 8th through all the usual, Amazon, BarnesandNoble.com, e-readers, and it's going to be on Audible as well.
Very nice, very nice. And it's coming out right around Columbus Day. So before we wrap up our Positive Vibes Only segment, I love your takeaways for helping kids minimize stress and anxiety. I think it's a great way to close out the segment with a takeaway, as well as, of course, your website information that people can definitely, I encourage everyone listening to go check out. But what are those takeaways for kids that you really, focus on to help minimize any type of stress or anxiety that they're dealing with?
With your permission, I'd love to talk about both what the kids can do and what the parents can do to help their kids.
Absolutely, for sure.
Okay. So for the kids, first of all, for parents, I encourage parents to dig deep on their expectations. There's a lot of pressure on kids, especially middle school and high school age kids now, to be, quote unquote successful. We have a very narrow view of what success looks like. And it's putting a lot of pressure on kids. So I invite parents to just kind of check in. Do your expectations of your kids really match your values? like you parenting according to what you think, because a lot of what kids are dealing with the skyrocketing anxiety and stress levels that we're seeing today is sort of the dual influence of what I call digital stress, and then the expectations of society stress, which can leak in through your parents. So that's number one, check in your expectations. The second one is focusing on what matters as a parent, being really focused on, your child as a human being instead of an achiever. And recruit your friends for support, like as opposed to talking to your kids. If your child has really like wild anxiety and it really stresses you out, they're not the person to talk to about it. Like talk to your friends or your partner or whoever. So that's some things parents can do sort of upfront to help their kids. And then how they can help their kids is, pay attention to your child's feelings. If they seem more worried, shy, or anxious than other kids their age, are they talking about being overwhelmed all the time? It's really time for a heart-to-heart conversation in those situations. So that's number one.
Right.
Number two is, providing unconditional support and understanding for the kids, being okay with not being able to immediately fix, mental or physical health challenges that your kid is dealing with. It's their journey that they have to walk, and you're the helper. A lot of parents, they just want to fix everything, and we can't always do that in the moment. So if you can relieve that stress as a parent, you're going to be a better helper for your kid.
That's a great point.
Staying calm and centered and caring when your child does experience stress or anxiety. What can help for us a lot as parents, speaking from experience here too, is when they get stressed or anxious, we get stressed. We're like, oh my gosh, why are they stressed and how do I make it stop? And if we can stay in more of a calm, centered state, like intentionally do that and try and keep a normal routine with a kid, it really helps them feel grounded and more secure. And, one of the most important things we can help kids do, Renee, is help them build confidence and resilience. So finding these opportunities to say, wow, I noticed that, you had a couple of B's on your report card. That's really amazing. Tell me about those classes and why you're doing well and what you like about them. Like, do a lot of focusing on the positive.
Yes, positive reinforcement. I like that.
Yeah. And a lot of it for kids is learning. Again, parents have to help them learn how to do this, because a lot of parents are learning this stuff too, is learning to set boundaries, learning to say no. It's important, people ask you, hey, do you want to be president of the Glee Club? And you say yes because you're excited to be included, and they ask you, but maybe your schedule is already too full. Like, it's important for kids to learn to say no, and we as adults are still learning that. And it's important to set boundaries and say, gee, you texting me at 10:30 at night upset, to one of their friends isn't really okay. I want to be there for you, but it really gets me upset before I go to bed, and I can't really help you that late. And so learning to really set boundaries and do some self-care around the way they're navigating their lives.
Yeah, I think those are all great tips. And there are ways, as you touched on, that you can, for a parent and for a child, to be happier, be able to communicate better and really do things in their own time instead of feeling like you have to rush to have a solution or rush to fix things right away. Nothing in life just happens overnight or, quickly. There are some things that take more time than others. So those are great things to have to remember, that, you're going to have those challenges, whether you're a parent or a child. I'm not a parent, but, I know that, growing up, as when I was a teenager, it is very tough navigating through the world. So, Laurie, I thank you so much for sharing this wisdom, and I hope that our listeners really had a lot to take away from this. I know I do personally, just interacting with kids, whether it's as a parent or for me as a coach or whatever it may be, as a teacher or as a professional in the working world. These are all really good lifestyle changes to just help improve anyone that might be dealing with something stressful in their life. So thank you so much for joining us in our Positive Vibes Only segment this week.
Yeah, you're so welcome. I love the work you're doing, Renee, and it was really a joy to be here. Thank you.